Hello, 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 hello. Hi, welcome to my channel, Mauh Tarot. My name is Mauh. I am your leader here for this Sunday's Vampire Church session, Sunday communion service. If you're new here, this is a communion service that I upload every Sunday, as long as I can do it every Sunday, or every second Sunday, because I work one weekend out of two. But as much as I have the opportunity to do Vampire Church Communion Sunday, I will. And I've allowed myself to do it at night, because I do feel like it's more appropriate for Vampire Church to be held at night. Although when I started Vampire Church on my own, I was practicing early in the morning before the sun would come up. So I have 2 tarot decks and 1 oracle deck. I have some witches runes, 13 witches runes. I have my crystal scrying ball, and I have my mind, and I have my experience, and I'm going to spend this time with you discussing spirituality, sometimes also philosophical things, just thoughts that come to my mind as I draw the cards, oracle card, as I scrying the ball, and as I choose runes every Sunday that I do upload a Vampire Communion Sunday church session. It may be a little bit different, but basically it's all just an opportunity for me to talk to you openly about whatever comes up. And it's different from the rest of my videos that are more structured. This is a more on-the-fly type of video for you, and I enjoy doing it because I enjoy being able to have carte blanche to speak as my mind allows me to speak. So I have the Hush Tarot today. I have the Golden Tarot. And I have Oracle of Shadows and Light. So let's go ahead and draw a witch's rune to start this Vampire Church Communion Sunday. That was fast. Okay, we got the sun. The rune is the sun, and it is a masculine energy, just as the sun is indicative of the god and the moon is indicative of the goddess. The sun is more of a masculine go-getter energy that brings vitality, that brings everything that we do in the day to life. It brings us, the sun brings us the vitamin D that we need. It brings us the warmth that we need. It brings us the clarity that we need to get things done in the day. Granted, not everyone is a person of the day. This is Vampire Church after all, so some of us don't work during the day. We work during the night. I know I have done my share of overnight shifts, and they're not easy, in my opinion. I don't know if different people are suited for different day or night jobs. I suppose some people get used to working at night or get used to living during the night. But I am a Leo moon, so even my moon is the sun, because Leo is ruled by the sun, the zodiac sign of Leo. So how do you see the sun? Do you appreciate a sunny day? Do you wake up in the morning to the light that is pouring through your window with gratitude and anticipation? Or do you have a hard time getting up in the morning? I know for me, it can be either or, right? Some days I wake up and I'm in a better mood than others. That's what they say when they say, did you wake up on the right side of the bed? or, oh, this person must have woken up on the right side of the bed, or this person must have woken up on the wrong side of the bed. The sun is a vital energy source. It is what the sun and the moon are both vital. However, the sun is what the moon reflects to light and illuminate the sky as well. So during Yule, the sun is at its minimal capacity to light up the world here in the Northern Hemisphere. And during Yule, December 21st, we will be celebrating the rebirth of the sun god. And we will be celebrating here in the Northern Hemisphere that the days are now going to be getting longer as opposed to shorter. So I'm like ready for that countdown to bring the sun back. And as much as I'm a winter baby, I just appreciate the sun so much. And it's interesting that this is Vampire Church and I'm talking about how I appreciate the sun. There was a time when I actually preferred the night. Believe it or not, I used to have very bad acne when I was a teenager, and I would have preferred to come out during the night because everything is less clear at night, and just like acne is less clear at night, especially if you're wearing makeup. I struggled with that. It's hard to struggle with acne. It really is. I don't know if you're somebody who struggles with acne or who has had acne, but it's almost like it can be debilitating. I remember when I was supposed to be going to CJEP, and I had just graduated from high school, which here is grade 11, and CJEP is like a 2-year program or a 3-year program that you do before university. And I skipped so many classes at CJEP because my acne would flare up and I would be too embarrassed to go to class. And I ended up failing several classes because I had missed over 3 or 4 classes per subject. So it's rough. It's rough to have acne, but I think we can all appreciate a good sunny day. Unless you're a vampire. Some people appreciate the night more than the day. I must admit, I used to appreciate the night more than the day. And I still do appreciate the night because I love the moon. I love the stars. I love the transition from night to day. You know, when you see that sunrise early in the morning, there's nothing like it. So let's get a tarot card from the Hush Tarot. Okay, we got 2 tarot cards from the Hush Tarot. We have 2 cup cards. We have the Knight of Cups and we have the 6 of Cups. Knight of Cups and the 6 of Cups. So charging forward with the Knight. Allowing yourself to feel the emotions that are necessary to move forward. Sometimes we want to hide what we're feeling, even from ourselves. We just don't want to acknowledge that we're feeling a certain way because we don't want to have to feel the emotions that comes with it. But the Knight of Cups is saying charge headlong into finding out who you are and why you are feeling the way you are feeling. It's just like, I couldn't understand, and I still don't completely understand why at this time of year, especially this year, I feel like I am cooped up in my home, and I'm sure we all feel this way, right, because of COVID, but I feel like I'm cooped up in my home, and it doesn't help that I'm on sick leave, and I feel like it's dark for so long that I almost feel like I'm alone for the whole night because my partner gets home at 11:20 p.m. And he leaves for work at 1:30 p.m. to 11:15 p.m. he gets home. And especially now in the Northern Hemisphere, that the time is, it's now dark at the time of 4 o'clock p.m. So it gives me a little bit of time to be alone, and sometimes I start to feel anxious. And I think it's something that as a collective, we are also kind of all feeling this way, where we're feeling like We are anxious to be we're anxious to be alone in the home. We want to go out. We want to experience having coffee with friends or having coffee with family. We want to be able to feel free again, feel like we're not trapped. Just to feel like ourselves and to kind of go back into charging headlong into like the lifestyle that we used to have. But of course we know that like everyone's talking about these big changes that are taking place, and we don't really know what these changes are. Perhaps they're a gift. With the Six of Cups, it could be that these changes are a gift to us. I would admit that, you know, if we want to look on the bright side, we can always say that there is always a storm before a rainbow, right? And that it could be a gift with the Six of Cups that we're going through this difficulty now, so that in the future, for us in this lifetime, we will be able to experience a little bit more peace, you know, a little bit more of freedom, appreciating more what we have because of what we have been missing for so long. I'm going to look into my crystal ball just to see if there's any other messages. So I'm thinking about the Christmas lights that people put up during this season, this holiday season. You can call it Yule lights, Christmas lights, Hanukkah lights, but it's basically that season where it's so dark outside that we put up lights to bring warmth to our hearts, warmth to our homes. And so I'm seeing strings of lights in this crystal ball, and it's reminding me that we're all there to support each other, to have hope that the darkness will not last, and that the light will always prevail and the light will come again. And especially with the celebration of Yule on December 21st, we celebrate that the light is being reborn and that the days will indeed get longer for us. So let's go ahead and draw a card from this tarot deck, Golden Tarot. Wow, we have Death. And I think this card, Death, serves to remind us that this death cycle is necessary, right? Like this cycle of the leaves falling off the trees and the sun setting early here in the Northern Hemisphere. And in the Southern Hemisphere, you experience this a little bit too in the Southern Hemisphere, but maybe not right now as I'm experiencing it. But if you're from the Southern Hemisphere, you still experience fall and winter season. And I think that it's an understanding with this death card that we can't just be upset about the fact that the days are getting shorter, that we're feeling like there's not enough daylight, like we're feeling like we can't go out and do the same things that we used to do, because the death cycle is saying to us that just as there is the fall and the winter seasons that bring the falling of the leaves and the setting of the sun at an early hour and the darkness prevailing for several hours over the light, there is that remembrance that also there is a death cycle to how we used to see the world, right? We used to see the world as just an open book for us to just write whatever our story was that we wanted to write. We could travel, we could, you know, dress up and go out and party. We could dance close proximity to people. We could go to cabarets and we could experience that unity of being in close proximity with our friends, even with strangers that appreciate the things that we appreciate. Like if you go to a cabaret, like there's a cabaret here in Montreal called Chez Mauh, and my partner and I used to go there, and it would be there would be a lot of dancing on the stage with the performers because it was a cabaret, right? And at first I felt a little bit shy going in because it was mostly men dressed as females, but it was just, they're like really amazing, like dancers, and the music was always upbeat. And I remember at first I was a little bit shy to go in because I had my old belief system and I was struggling with it because the people were so nice. And eventually it just became like a home to us, like going to the gay village and going to Cabaret Mado or Chez Mado was like going to paradise. And thinking back to that possibility of being able to be in close proximity with people that are enjoying the same things, that are experiencing the same emotions, that are experiencing life and enjoying life and just being vivacious and vital to just everyone else's entertainment. Like, we were entertained by the people on the stage, but we were also clapping and dancing to the people on the stage. So they were feeling our energy of appreciation and just bringing everything to the table as far as like their show goes. And so it's like that is dead right now. Like that opportunity that we used to have to go into Chez Mado and just be in close proximity, squashed together with all the people, just piling in and enjoying the drag queens of Montreal, like you know, that is part of what's died, you know. And I don't know if it's going to be reborn even better, like as soon as you know, the vaccinations are sufficient and we can all start getting vaccinated and start living our life the way we used to live. But I do know that it's vital for us to have a death process, and right now we're experiencing a death process in that we are living at a time when, just like this card number 13, death, when the things that we used to know, those experiences that we used to have, they've died physically in our space, but they haven't died in our hearts and in our minds. We still remember those amazing times, like dancing to techno music and just feeling free and just feeling like everybody around me was just full of good vibes and full of light, and listening to the music and just appreciating life and appreciating each other. You know, that it all feels like it's died, you know, on the outside, but it's still alive in my memories. Like perhaps you have memories of like going traveling and meeting people, you know, in a different country, or coming home from a country and experiencing the language in your own country. Like I remember I took a trip to Colorado, United States, Colorado, and I was there for a couple of months. And when I came back to Montreal, Quebec, I remember hearing them speak French in the airport, and I remember thinking, wow, I missed that language. I missed the beauty of the French language. And you know, just like those experiences of like being able to live life and just appreciate life in a way that it's so difficult for us to even think of doing that again right now. It's just like all that opportunity that we used to have just feels like it's slipped through our fingers. So the other card we have is the Star card, card number 17. It just fell out. So, you know, they say this is like the age of Aquarius is coming upon us. They say that you know, certain planets are going into an air sign instead of an earth sign like they have been for hundreds of years. Two of the most important planets, I believe it's Jupiter and Saturn, but don't quote me on that, are going into the air sign of Aquarius for the next few years. And I think it's a few years. And these planets are vital to our existence, of course, like all the planets, and they all play a certain role in our lives. And these planets are going into the sign of Aquarius. And I think what I heard was that for the past 200 or so years, or even longer, but don't quote me on any of this, but like something like this, these planets have been in earth signs for a long time, and earth signs are very grounded, but now these planets are going into an air sign for a long time. And the air sign is about thinking, forward thinking, you know, creating language, creating thought, creating opportunities, creating new ideas to better the planet. And it's really about, the star symbolizes the sign of Aquarius in the tarot. So it reminds me of like the fact that they say we're going into the age of Aquarius, and that a lot of things are going to change for the better, because Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius, and Uranus is the forward thinker. And that with forward thinking coming into this new age, we will be able to create ways to do things like we never were able to do them before, to come up with solutions to problems that we used to just consider problems and they feel like we couldn't solve them. So here we have like the angel on the riverbank pouring out water, and Aquarius is also the sign of the water bearer. So she has, or, the sign of Aquarius has a lot to do with emotions and also air. So because we are the water bearer, there is water involved, which is equated with emotions. So, I know they say that Aquarians are aloof and that they are distant a lot of the time if they don't feel like they want to be engaged. But Aquarius is, I can tell you this because I'm an Aquarius sun, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Aquariuses who are Aquarius suns or even moons or risings. I'm Aquarius sun and Aquarius rising. So I have a clear mind when it comes to the Aquarius sign. And I can tell you that I feel emotions very strongly, and I'm pretty sure that everybody does. But the generalization that Aquarius is very aloof and that they're just in their head and they don't feel is like the biggest lie ever. And it could just be my Leo moon talking, but my Leo is a fire sign. It's not even a water sign. So I doubt that that's what the case is. But it's not about me. It's about the fact that, people are saying this is going to be a new time where big things are going to happen. Some people are dreading it. I know my religious family is telling me that this is called the Great Reset, and that the rich are going to take over everything, and that they're going to have everything, and basically under the guise that everybody is going to have equal rule over the land, the resources, and all that. And that basically, in pretending that the general population is going to be equal, the rich are actually going to take everything for themselves. And that if you don't get the vaccine, you won't be able to buy and sell, and so you will be blocked from actually living your life because you can't buy and you can't sell because you can't go out because you don't have the vaccine. And so my religious family, my mom and my father, and maybe you've heard this, they're telling me that this is called the Great Reset, but that it's going to bring in the Antichrist. The Great Reset is going to bring in the Antichrist, and the Antichrist is basically the one that brings in the mark of the beast, which in the Bible is 666. That if you don't have the mark of the beast, which could be perhaps the vaccine, I don't know, somehow related to that you won't be able to buy and sell. So that's where the link comes in. Interesting that I'm an Aquarius and I'm my parents' daughter, and the age of Aquarius is upon us, and this is the age that my mom at least is fearing. And when I say fearing, I don't mean that she's afraid, because I don't think she's afraid to die for her belief system, but I just mean that like she's warning me that this is what the Christians are talking about, and that they're dreading this great reset that they're going to call, where everything is going to be set back to zero. So reset, right? So that set back to zero, brought back down to a equal playing field, and that things are going to be redistributed equally. So we'll see what time will tell, right? What this great reset is actually going to be, or if it's going to be something good or bad. I believe it's going to be something good for us, but look, I know people who believe this is going to be something bad. So I'm going to draw a card from my Shadows and Light Oracle deck. Fairy of the Divine Hand, intoxication, distorted view, overindulgence. So, Fairy of the Divine Hand, intoxication, distorted view, overindulgence. Let me just read to you what this oracle card means. Excuse me, card number 2. I really love these oracle cards. I find, like, if you're interested in them, it's called Oracle of Shadows and Light, and they're just beautiful cards. The artwork is phenomenal. I'm going to read the divination message, and then we'll see if I read anything else. Stop right now. Your intuition, your inner sight, and clear vision is sending you very clear warning. A red flag has just gone up, and this is the time to stop, to look, and to listen before going forward. Your higher self, your clear sight, wants you to stop and think before simply taking the wonderful temptation someone is offering you. It may be in the form of a secretive relationship, junk food, alcohol at a party, sex before you're ready, or behaving in ways that are unsafe and disrespectful, speaking harmful words and thoughts that could scar people for a long, long time. This moment's indulgence could have long-term repercussions that could lead you away from well-being, clarity, and harmony. You know when this temptation comes that you do not need to flee, you do not need to indulge, you do not need to curse and berate this lovely, very earnest fairy with her clear message to stop and truly look at what is taking place. You know you simply need to pause, be quiet, clear, and know now that one of your fiercest addictions is seeking you out and you are wavering, caught in its delirium. This is not an opportunity to escape. This is your chance to break free. So I think that that's a positive message to let us know that if we just stop, each of us individually, and pay attention to how our inner being, how our divine self is speaking to us, we will each find the answer within ourselves. For as we stop and as we listen and as we clear our minds, we'll be able to find out what we are feeling, what we are thinking. We'll be able to tap into, are we into what the future is going to bring into us, or are we afraid? And remember that fear is a necessary feeling. We need to feel fear to protect ourselves sometimes, but sometimes we fear things that we don't need to fear, you know. And it's just about taking a time to stop and to pause and to sort through the emotions. Like I said, with the Knight of Cups that I drew here for the first two cards, you know, I talked about going and delving into your emotions and allowing yourself to feel those feelings. And I do feel like with the Fairy of the Divine Hand and all these other cards, and even with the Sun Rune, it's about shedding light on, you know, yourself. You're an individual being. You have a mind, you have a brain, you have your way of thinking, you have your experience. You have everything that you need to understand yourself within yourself. When I'm looking at this Fairy of the Divine Hand card, I'm thinking about palmistry, and that's one of the things that I first thought when I saw this card was palmistry, which says, like, if you want to read your palm, all you have to do is Google palmistry or pick up a book about palmistry and be able to find out a little bit about what your future holds through your palm. You can look through your birth chart. You can find out what time you were born, and you can type all that into a birth chart generator and find out, if you have the opportunity to find that information, you have an opportunity to find out how you tick, where your planets reside, you know, what's your sun, moon, rising, Venus, Scorpio, all those different planets, where they are as far as when you were born. You know, we don't have to pretend like we're lost. We have the sun shining upon us. We have the star, which is self-reflection. We have the star, which is just being honest with yourself, thinking forward to good times, but also taking time to be in the moment and to accept that sometimes we have to accept death in our lives. We have to accept that things have passed away, and with the death comes a new rebirth. And I think that it's interesting because we have the star sign, the star card, which is like, it's almost like a card of rebirth, but a rebirth into a new way of being. So like the death card is like letting go of old things that no longer serve us because they aren't necessary, almost like the Tower card. And then the star card is saying, like, allow yourself to be reborn, to think in ways that you never thought before. I think the Six of Cups is saying that this is a gift that you can give yourself, where if you want to find out about yourself, and like I did a video about star seeds, and if you want to find out about if you're a star seed and you want to find out which planet you came from, you can always look further into that. Like, don't claim ignorance on who you are, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm speaking to myself too. We don't need to claim ignorance on ourselves. We need to understand that, you know, yes, it's hard growing up, especially when you're a teenager, you know, and you're trying to figure out your hormones and stuff like that. Like I was talking about acne, right? it's hard sometimes to face life as a teenager. It's hard to face life in general, even as a more grown adult, with bills and with like deadlines and with responsibilities, you know, cleaning the house, doing laundry, you know, paying your car insurance, making sure your car is filled with gas, you know, making sure you have your bus pass for the month, making sure you have the money for the bus pass, making sure you have your money for your groceries, like making sure you're getting to a job where you can make money, you know, being able to get to your job on time and not be late so that you can keep your job and not get fired. You know, all these things like are part of our life, and like sometimes we just do them on autopilot and we don't really think about, you know, why we're doing them. I'm just gonna draw another card from this deck just to kind of get a closing message, because I feel like I've kind of gone all over the place with this message. I feel like it comes full circle, but I just want another card from Spirit, please, to just kind of see what is the closing message for this. We have the Fool. So the Fool card is saying that, you know, we have a lot of responsibilities. You know, even a teenager has a lot of responsibilities. Even a child has to learn how to obey their parents and has to learn how to grow up in a world that tells them how they have to be and who they have to be. You know, from birth to death, it's a process. But remember the Fool card throughout your life, and the Fool card is stepping into your life with unabashed abandonment. Like basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if that makes sense, unabashed abandonment, but basically stepping into your life like, this is my life, I'm gonna live it the way I want to live it. And I'm not saying like go anarchist or anything like that. I'm just saying like, if you want to, you know, do what you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But that's my opinion. But the Fool card is telling us that just take life by the reins and step into life with an eager heart, with an open mind, with an open idea of how you're going to experience it, especially now that, you know, things are starting to change with the Star card and the Great Reset, and the Age of Aquarius hopefully starting now, soon. You know, remember like with the Knight of Cups to go headlong, just like the Fool and the Knight of Cups, go headlong into your emotions, go headlong into life and live your life, and just don't be afraid of what's to come, you know, because you don't even know if you're going to make it to tomorrow, right? Like, and that doesn't mean be afraid of death, because we know that we can accept things that have to die in our lives, and the sun will always rise tomorrow. There's a verse in the Bible that says, morning may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And it's like that idea that when you wake up in the morning, like after a night that you've been like, and maybe this isn't always true for everybody, especially in my case, this hasn't always been true, but most of the time when you go to bed at night, you know, crying, you wake up in the morning to the sun, and it's like, okay, this is a fresh start. This is a fresh slate. I can choose to live my life today in a way that maybe I didn't live it yesterday, or maybe I didn't live it the day before, but I want to live it in a different way today that I didn't live it in yesterday. And it's just accepting that things are changing. With the Fool though, you can just be like, I really feel like the Fairy of the Divine Hand tells us to stop and pay attention, but the Fool tells us that we also need to just be. And so there's that delicate balance, just like there's a balance between the sun and the moon. And sometimes it feels like it's out of balance because the day is so short and the night is so long right now. And it's like, how is this balanced? It doesn't feel balanced at all. It feels like I get anxious with this imbalance, but it's just that idea that not everything is always going to remain in balance. Not everything is always going to show up in balance. It's also about learning how to balance yourself despite the imbalances in life, and waiting while you balance yourself despite the imbalances in life, waiting for things to get back into balance. And so I feel like that's a good note to leave this Vampire Church ceremony, communion ceremony, I guess, for today. I hope it was helpful for you to listen to me ramble. I know I really enjoy rambling sometimes, especially since I'm a pretty good rambler. But I hope you like this video. If you do, leave it a thumbs up. If you feel like commenting down below, I would appreciate that, and I'd love to hear from you. Remember to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell if you want to make sure that you know about any new videos that I'm uploading. And again, my name is Mauh, and I'll see you at my next Vampire Church ceremony. Bye.